Hey there, it is Tom here on behalf of Indestructible Productions once again, and we are continuing onwards with building two guitars at the same time. Now, fretwork. One of the most tedious things that I gotta admit, not my favorite part of guitar building, but definitely a necessity in order to make that guitar play like a dream. So this is very important work that you do here. First things first, gotta make sure that the fretboard is leveled, and I use a notched straight edge to check that out. Because if I were to use a straight edge that would sit on top of the frets, it wouldn't give me a clear line of whether the neck is straight or not. So the notched straight edge has little notches that go over the frets so that it hits the fretboard, so it'll be much clearer for me to see if the fretboard is straight or not. Once I had the neck leveled out, it's time to mask up the fretboard and mark out all the frets with a Sharpie or a permanent marker of sorts, so that when I move on to leveling, this time using a leveling beam, which is a terrific tool for the job, I am able to see where I'm taking off and making sure that I don't take off too much. Then going back every now and then to check with the notched straight edge again that I am indeed getting everything nicely leveled up, using a fret rocker as well constantly to try and check if there's any high spots. Now what the fret rocker does is it sits on 3 frets at a time, and the name comes from basically when you rock it back and forth. If it makes a rocking noise, you know that you have a high fret. And just make sure that you keep going back, checking every now and then with the fret rocker to make sure that you're getting out all the high edges and marking those out again with your marker. If you've done your fret work properly, you shouldn't have to do too much sanding. Now at the very end, I put a few layers of masking tape on the 12th fret, and I mask off half of my leveling beam in order to kind of make a fall away. This makes it feel so much more comfortable to actually play higher notes. It's just one of those things. It's a very small detail that makes a very big difference in the end when it comes to the player. Now again, crowning and fret ends and everything else, that's something that I've kind of addressed in every single video or build video that I've done. And I do have a tutorial on this as well when it comes to refretting a guitar. I go over this process a little bit more in depth. But basically, crowning a fret means that you're taking off the edges of your now leveled frets, trying to make sure that that Sharpie line becomes as small as possible, as thin as possible. That means that your point of intonation is in the middle of the fret, which is extremely important. Because if you have a plateau, as it were, on your fret, that means that your intonation can be anywhere on that plateau. And that would mean that you're kind of going to be either sharp or too flat, and you won't ever be able to play in tune. Then fret ends, of course, trying to get those rounded over, that's just more of a comfort thing. Makes it a lot more nicer to play the instrument. And then polishing up the frets with some fret rubbers and polishing compound to make them look very nice and shiny. And of course using a little bit of sandpaper before that just to get off all the file marks, because you want to have all the scratches that are going lengthways down the neck off, because if you do bends, you'll be able to hear those scratches. So you want to make sure that there are none of those. The shinier, so the more polished your frets are, that means that the more comfortable they are to play, or the guitar is more comfortable to play because you don't have any resistance when you're doing bends or moving around the fretboard in general. It's a very important thing. Now again, this video is about to wrap up, so thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check out other videos as well, tutorials on how to do this a little bit, well, more in-depth tutorials on how to do this same process. And yeah, just take your time. Don't rush and you'll do a great job. It's always nice to learn how to do maintenance on your own guitars because, frankly, I think it's a necessity that every guitar player just kind of like learns to take care of their instrument. Does that mean that I'll be put out of a job? No, of course not. If you don't feel like your skills are adequate, that's fine. It's just a little bit of maintenance that goes a long way. But trying to troubleshoot and find areas that need work done, that's something that a luthier is supposed to do in the first place. Anyway, I'm getting way sidetracked and I've talked a lot in this video, so I'm gonna leave it now. Thank you very much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below. I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.